Call the City Council meeting to order. Today is October 22nd, 2019. And before we commence, I want to read a short statement that will kind of update you on the rules that we have for public comment. So the purpose of the public comment is to invite comments from members of the public. I would like to ask that persons wishing to speak keep their comments relevant to the item we're discussing. If you wish to speak, please approach the podium one at a time. Unless you need assistance, sign in on the sheet provided and then state your name, address, and the organization you represent, if any. You will have 3 minutes to make your comments. If you go past the 3 minutes, I will ask you to wrap up your comments quickly. And I'd like to say to the audience, we appreciate you being here, but please do not interrupt a speaker. Remain quiet while others are giving testimony. The council will not tolerate loud objections, clapping, or other disruptive behavior, as this can be intimidating to others who may wish to testify with a different viewpoint. During the public testimony, the council will listen but will not engage in any debate or questions and answers with the person giving testimony unless it is strictly for clarification and can be easily addressed by city staff. After the public testimony is finished, the council will close the public testimony, and no additional public comments will be heard after that. Okay, so we will start. Okay, Mary's going to help me in case I need help with pronunciation of names. First, we have Candace Johnson. Please sign your name and address, and please speak directly into the mic.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Candace Johnson. I'm a resident of Richfield. My address is on the card, and I'll write it down. I will not state it out loud. I'm here tonight in solidarity with the Brian J. Quinones family, and would like to just address publicly the letter that I sent to you guys today. This is regarding the officers that were involved in the killing of Brian Quinones. It's my understanding that officers Carroll, Storia, and Schultz are currently part of the Hennepin County investigation of the homicide of Brian Quinones, and that all of the officers have returned to active duty. I just wanted to ask the council and Katie Rodriguez, the city manager, to please answer some questions that I have as a concerned community member. I would like to know if the officers have received any form of mental health counseling before they return to work. I would also like to know how will the city leadership and the Richfield Police Department support the officers if and when they experience any PTSD symptoms while they are on duty. I would like to know how you will ensure the community that the mental health of these officers would not adversely impact their ability to safely interact with the community. I would like to know if the officers have received any form of de-escalation or crisis intervention training before returning to active duty. I would also like to know if the officers named above have ever received any form of implicit bias training while employed with the Richfield Police Department or before they return to active duty. As a resident of Richfield, I find it unacceptable that these officers are back on the street and that you guys have decided to jeopardize our community's ability to live and work in a safe place by allowing them to return to work so soon after killing a member of our community. As a Black woman, it is extremely discouraging to me to know that there are 3 white police officers that killed another person of color in our community regardless of their justification for it. And that it's a very real possibility that they are going to engage in another act of excessive force against a person of color in this community. I think the chances of that are very high. There are statistics that show that. We'd be happy to provide them to you. I demand that the officers are immediately removed from patrolling the streets of Richfield or any role that would put them in direct contact with community members. Because while they're out there, I don't feel safe. I don't think anybody in our community is safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Keith McCarron.
Hi, council members, city manager, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm also here for Brian Quinones' family and the Aiden family. And I guess what I would like to know is why there's a stalling on releasing information. That information is public. It was supposed to be for both the benefit of the police and the benefit of the citizenry. This is why cities have invested in body-worn cameras, is so that we could create these good kind of community relationships. Transparency, show the circumstances as they are from an unbiased observer, the camera. We have dash cams. I'd like to see the transcripts of the MDCs. They sent messages to each other on the MDCs. The cops know what the MDCs are. They texted back and forth. That's public record. The 911 call, that's public record. All these things should be released. We only have what's printed in the media as to what to go for. And we know that the media is there to sell newspapers. So they sensationalize what is said. We want to get truth, and an unbiased truth. I also want to say that no matter what the circumstances are of how these people came to die, I want to know why police feel that they have to turn to deadly force to try to inflict their instructions within seconds. Within literally seconds. I don't know about any of you, but if I pulled a gun out of my hand, out of my pocket right now and said, hands up, my guess is that most of you would be sitting there staring at me going, what is he on about? Probably not with your hands up. If I was a cop, you'd be dead. So, you know,
Please,
we
no
just
applause.
simply want to be treated the same as everyone wants to be treated. And I'm really asking and appealing to you for your compassion as human beings to just, for a moment, think, what would you feel like if it was your family member? What would you feel like if it was your friend? Because when these people are killed, it's not just that person. It's their family. It's their children. It's their friends, it's their coworkers, it's their neighbors, it's their community. And it just is like throwing a stone in a pond and it ripples outward. And everybody is traumatized. The last thing I'd like to do is, if my phone will cooperate, is just briefly read you very quickly a quote by the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. And he stated that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. I want you to know that these families are feeling oppressed. And so we're not waiting for you to give us that freedom, information that is supposed to be freedom. We are demanding it, and we will continue to demand it until we get it, because that is the moral and just and right thing to do. And I'm asking you to stand by and do the moral, right, and just thing to do. I have confidence that you can do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ashley Quinones.
Hello, I am Ashley Quinones. I am the wife of Brian Quinones that was murdered in your city September 7th, 2019. We have been requesting public information. It was sent over by my lawyers as well, and you guys have not cooperated as it is your duty to do so. I wanted to remind you that you guys are actually paid from the city, which the city is paid from the people, which I am the people, and I pay for you. So you technically work for us, and you are not doing your job. I am tired of being disrespected by everybody in this room, everybody in this department. Pretty much everybody involved has really disgusted me. I'm tired of your condolences and your sincerest apologies when you continue to do nothing for our family. It is disgusting on behalf of all of you in here that work for this city, that work for this state. I have a child who now has to grow up without his father. I am a permanent single mother, and you guys all are so comfortable in your seats still belittling and disrespecting my family that I don't have. I don't have a family. I have a son. And you get to go home at night, right? Everything's great, right? What the fuck about us? What about me? What about him? It's disgusting. I'm tired of feeling like I'm intimidated when I walk in this building. I'm tired of feeling that you guys don't respect or care for what is rightfully mine, public information. And I'm sick of hearing I'm sorry. You are sorry. You're all sorry individuals. Sorry, sorry. You should be sorry. It's disgusting. He was murdered 4 blocks up from here. 4. You had 150 officers plus respond. And you guys can't respond to me? It's disrespectful. I live in this community. I live right up the block from here, 508 73rd Street. I live right up the block from here. I live here. I don't feel safe here. My son plays hockey here. I'm terrified to drive my damn car anywhere here. I almost want to barricade myself in my house. How am I supposed to feel safe here? It's disgusting. And if you don't think it can't happen to you guys, I thought the same thing. Just because you're council members, even police officers, everybody takes their uniforms and name tags off, right? It can happen to you. Is that what it'll take? Is that what it takes for you to understand a grieving widow? I'm 29 years old. It's disgusting. And I'm pissed. And I'm not going to stop. If I have to come everywhere you are, I don't care if it's outside of houses, I will be there. You're not going to live a day peacefully because I don't get to.
Thank you. Next is Mary and Mike Smith. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. That's not what we're discussing now. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Sumax Aiden. Sumax Aiden. Oh, Samaya.
My name is Samaya Aiden. I'm the younger sister of Isaac Aiden. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I am a law student. I was supposed to graduate this year. My brother, Isaac Aiden, was also supposed to graduate this year from the University of Minnesota with his IT and infrastructure degree. He was a banker at Spire Credit Union. He wanted to get into mortgage underwriting. He also was a business owner. He owned Aidenx Home Care. My brother was murdered on July 2nd, 2019 by 5 law enforcement officers from the cities of Bloomington and Eagan. There were 90 officers on the scene for him. My brother has never had any run-ins with the law. He's never had a criminal record. But yet here we are today. My brother has done everything to not be a statistic, only to be gunned down by police, law enforcement officers, and turned into a statistic by becoming another black man who didn't get to make it to 25. So we're, in less than 2 months, the same officers that the city of Richfield called to assist in Brian's murder were involved in my brother's murder 2 months prior. They witnessed and assisted my brother's murder and were even involved in killing my brother. And you called on them to be at the scene for Brian. And what did you do? The Richfield officers that murdered Brian, you put them back on the job so they can help assist someone else's murder. This is not right. And this is a reflection of your city. You're a reflection of your city. The process in getting information since July for my family has not been easy. We've had to go and protest at the Eagan City Council. We put in data request forms and evidence preservation letters July 8th to all 9 agencies that were involved. To this day, we are still showing up at city council meetings and protesting to get our basic information, which is our basic right as American citizens. And this is exactly what the Quinones family is doing today and has been doing for weeks now, here in the city of Richfield, in the city of Edina, and even in the cities that were involved in my brother as well as Brian Quinones' murder, such as Burnsville, Apple Valley, Lakeville, all these cities that your city called on to assist with Brian's murder and execution right after my brother's. What you've done to this family is exactly what Eagan and Bloomington and Burnsville tonight have done to us. We just came back from protesting at Burnsville City Council meeting. And what they did, their mayor was absolutely disrespectful and closed the meeting and walked out. While we were there asking, since July 8th, why have we not gotten this information that we are entitled to as taxpayers, as residents in the state of Minnesota? Because I lived here once. I lived in Minnesota for 13 years. And now I had to drop out of school. I had to quit my job and make this my priority. I have to be here. Not only, it's a ripple effect. You didn't just kill my brother and it ended there. It's now affecting me. I'm now a statistic. I am now a college dropout. And I shouldn't have to be protesting for my basic right in 2019. This family should not be fighting for their basic rights in 2019. When the city of Richfield and its representatives go back on a word, go back on their word. You were supposed to give this family the evidence and data that they were entitled to. As the next of kin for Brian Quinones, as the family of Brian Quinones, you are not only being dishonest to everyone in the Richfield community, but you are being dishonest to every single person that's been affected by police violence and continues to be affected by police violence.
Can you please wrap it up?
No, I'm not. I absolutely will not. Matter of fact, I will just add 10 more minutes to what I was going to say. That's completely disrespectful and proves my point of you acting like exactly what Eagan and Bloomington have been doing to us. Guess what? We've been ignored since July 8th, and we're not going to continue to be ignored any longer. So you're going to sit here and listen to us, or you can walk the fuck out, because this is our meeting. It's a public meeting, and we are the public. We are the public. We pay you. You're supposed to serve us. And a matter of fact, you're not even the fucking mayor. So quit acting like you run shit. You don't run shit. You're not the mayor. You're not the mayor. You're not going to try to police my language. You're not going to try to tell me don't clap.
Okay,
you're not.
It's time to call.
You're not going to talk over me. No. You're not. That's not what you're going to do. You've been disrespectful. Your city murdered someone. That's you disrespecting us. That's you disrespecting us. You're not gonna talk over me. You can pass notes all you want like you're in fucking middle school. Don't act like I don't see that shit. Don't act like I don't see that shit. I'll continue talking when I feel like it because you made me lose my train of thought because you're not going to tell me to get off when you want me to.
Councilmember Supple?
I move we recess for 15 minutes.
No. We're not going anywhere.
Okay.
They don't get no
All in
peace.
favor? Aye.
They don't get no peace.
Thank you. We'll recess for 15 minutes.
We'll be here.
Okay, the meeting has been reopened.
Deanie.
Aiden?
You guys already said my name, so you guys know my name. My address is not relevant. I was actually gonna say something, but it looks like the community has a concern. I heard them ask multiple questions, such as why did Richfield back out from releasing the evidence, specifically the body cam and dash cam, tomorrow? So I feel like the community deserves an answer, and I don't feel comfortable speaking until someone responds to the family because they gave you guys the data request form, and you guys heard the same question multiple times. Why are you guys refusing to give them data? And like my sister already said, we've been denied that public information for months now. So I will not allow another family to go through what we went through. So I know you guys said you guys don't answer questions, but tonight you guys will. This is becoming an open discussion, so feel free to answer. You guys already heard the question multiple times. Dude with the cardigan said city manager and was the person who made the decision to back out of the deal. So, city manager and chief of police. Oh, wow. Yeah, so you guys could go ahead and answer the question. Chief, you want to talk? This is him. Oh, that's... When someone talks to you, you look them in the face. The last one that was sent was 6 days ago. He has a habit of doing that. Remember he did that to me 2 weeks ago? So like I said, so city manager. So city manager and chief of police, yeah, we're still waiting on a response.
Let's move on to
Uh, we have to. Cameron, come over here. And whose idea was it to...
Whose son you actually met, for someone you know. At church.
And we let the chief of police decide what happens to his police officers. Who decided on that?
Okay. We are, okay. We're returning to the agenda.
The agenda is why wasn't those videos released? Why did Richfield back out?
There's no words that there's no words that I can say, and I can't describe or construe an investigation that I know less about than you think I do, and you might think that's right or wrong. I will say this. I will say that we have profound systemic injustices that stem from racist systems that span our country and have roots in our city. And if Brian Quinones were still with us, we would still have that work to do.
Okay, I'm calling for another recess. Will the council join me out here? Okay, we will continue. So please go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm basically waiting on you guys. I've said what I needed to say. The family and the community, I'm just speaking on behalf of the community as well as being a victim of police brutality. I don't want to see another family like the Quinones family go through this. So we're turning this into an open dialogue, and the community has already said their questions multiple times. They told you they had proof. So the only question that we have today is, why did Egan literally, Richfield, an hour ago, back out of the meeting tomorrow to release critical evidence?
Councilmember Supple.
I do not have the answer to that, but I do want to thank everybody for coming because I think it is important to hear this. And we are listening to what you have to say, and I will continue to listen.
Okay,
I don't have the answer for you, and I'm not going to lie to you and say and make something up. I don't have the answer to that.
Perfect. Thank you very much for being truthful. I completely respect that, but we're aware that the city manager and chief of police, who are both in this room had some knowledge about this determination. So I'll give them a mic. They can talk about why they came to that decision, literally less than 24 hours before the meeting. So the community is here. Like, you heard their concerns. We have the people necessary in the room to give us the answer. So that question remains, why did Richfield back out of the meeting tomorrow to release critical evidence?
Mayor Pro Tem, I've already told Ashley earlier, but we will have an answer for you. If we can get through this meeting, we'll get it to you tonight. If not, it'll be early tomorrow morning.
Everybody get your phones out. She's gonna say a specific time that she'll give us an answer.
Mayor Pro Tem, if we could get back to the open forum process and have people come up and make their statement.
Open
Okay.
discussion, so they needed a time and date. It's been less than 24 hours.
Okay, I call on Don Williams.
Oh, no.
My name's Don Williams. I live in Minnesota. And just so you know, and we're all clear, Brian Quinones is my grandson. The young lady Ashley is my granddaughter. And Cameron, their child, is my great-grandson. So that's straight. We know. Chief, I asked you a question a minute ago, and you won't answer me, I know, because you don't answer anything in this forum. I'm the patriarch of my family. My job is to protect my family. So last Tuesday, we spent the night at Edina's meeting, and we got them to say that they would get information. I was going out of town, okay? And I left confident, after hearing from Shara and from Ashley, that arrangements had been made, that information would be given. I left confident that things would be taken care of. And then when Ashley told me that tomorrow there was a meeting at 1 o'clock to release dash cam video, and you guys were part of it, and so was Edina, I felt confident that they and we would finally get answers. And then, in trying to continue life and show Cameron that life needs to go on, I'm in a meeting tonight for another part of my life, and he calls me on the phone, and he's panicked, and he's stressed, and I have to deal with that, and I have to come to my grandson. So here I am, because I'm the protector. And you make it so very hard to protect anybody. The day after Brian was shot and killed, the statement that Edina and Richfield police were going to hold a clear and transparent investigation was a fucking lie, and you're part of it. My whole thing throughout all of this has been your lack of transparency. You don't run a transparent investigation because we've asked so many times since September 7th for information. I was confident that an agreement had been reached and we would get answers. And you, chief, and you, city manager, whatever, and under whose direction I really don't give a shit, canceled your end of the deal. Well, fuck you. That's really where I'm at. I try to be patient. I try to be patient and do what I'm supposed to do. And because of what happened on September 7th, I can't do what I'm supposed to do because you won't help. I wonder why. And this family, and the Aiden family, and many others want to know why. You want to know why you're not trusted? Because you can't be trusted. You know, when shootings like this happen, before what you did to my grandson, I thought I was in my right to say, hey, don't do shit like that. Okay? But now, after what we've been through and what you continue to put us through, every time I see 2 squad cars pulled somebody over, I want to get out of my car and take a picture. Every time. Doesn't matter if it's Richfield. Doesn't matter if it's Edina. Doesn't matter if it's St. Paul. Because my disdain for what you did to my grandson and how you treat people through this process is overbearing. You've limited my ability to be a man in the regard that I can take care of my family. And I hate you for that. And I don't hate anybody. That's hard. Do you know how hard that is to say? Do you know how hard that is to say? I asked you a question earlier, Chief, and you couldn't get that smug look off of your face. That's disrespect. And you think I was disrespectful? I deal with this every day. Every damn day. I cry at night still because I watch my great-grandson and my granddaughter deal with this, and I don't have answers for them. So when you hear, yeah, it could happen to you, I hope to God it doesn't. because then you'll question things you never thought you'd question before. And you backing out of this is just chicken shit. Justice for Brian Quinones. Justice for Isaac Aiden. Justice for anybody else that goes through your police brutality, your deadly force bullshit. You make me sick.
Allison Holberg. I'm calling them people by their cards. Allison Holberg.
My name is Allison Hoberg, and I live in Richfield on 68th and James. I just want to say thank you to Ashley and Sumaya and her family for continuing to keep this every day coming forward to the city of Richfield and the city of Edina and the city of Egan and the city in Burnsville. When I heard that the plans had changed for tomorrow, I can't really explain how disappointed I was. And personally, I have asked several questions from the city recently about how do we make a complaint? How do I ask a question to the city when I have an issue? What do I do? For instance, this is a small issue. When an officer is in plain clothes in front of my house, a Richfield officer, puts a sweatshirt on that says police on the back and then walks down the block with an assault rifle and then goes into someone's backyard on my block. Who do I bring that complaint to? I guess he was serving a warrant. I don't know. He was sitting in front of my house in an Impala. But there's no one to bring that complaint to right now because I don't know his name. So I can't fill out that report form. I remember as clear as day on Saturday night getting tagged in the video of Brian in his car. I'm so sorry to you and to your son to have you had to gone through that at the hands of this city. And why didn't the police just stay in their car? If there's a man that gets out of his car with a knife, how about stay in your car? How about not unload a bunch of bullets into his body? How about that? And after that happened, I watched on the police scanner and that police scanner on Facebook, there were hundreds of squad cars and officers coming from Chaska, coming from Rogers, coming from all over the state to witness, I don't know, to witness a man that just got shot by Edina and Richfield officers. I don't understand why that escalated like that. And for people to say like that's our protocol, that should not be the protocol. And if that is the protocol, that's really lame and that's cowardly. That was very cowardly for officers to jump out of their car with a man who never went over the speed limit barely, driving down from Edina to Richfield, and they unload. How many officers got out and unloaded? And then the fact, 16 shots, it's crazy to me. And watching that video, I'm sorry to say that out loud, and I'm sorry that is re-traumatizing to you. But the other thing I wanted to say is that the fact that they've turned in paperwork to get this information, and people have told them several times that they haven't gotten that request. How? How haven't they gotten the emails? Like, who's checking the email? Who checks the email? They came in via email, right? Correct. Like, who checks the email? Like, we could easily verify that email was sent. And so for Richfield to be saying that they didn't get it, it's beyond belief to me. And there needs to be some accountability. And I don't understand why there hasn't been and why this changed so late in the game. And I'm just like very disappointed. I am very sad in this city. And that is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And if this was my close relative, I would be tearing stuff down. I would be smashing windows. I would be throwing rocks through windows. I would be, this would be anarchy right now. So the fact that we have these three family members and all their family just sitting here as calm as they are when they've lost the loved one who police could have stayed in their car. Stayed in the car. So that's all I have to say, and I just hope that Richfield can take some leadership, make some changes in the way that we handle this. Fix it tomorrow. Fix it tomorrow. Whatever your mistake or covering the city's financial, whatever, needs to be fixed tomorrow. So thank you, and thank you guys for continuing to do this.
Okay, Tashira Allen? Oh. Okay, wait, let me finish with, do we have Kathy Cummins Backco? Okay, go ahead. Sure.
$7717 Chicago Avenue South in a senior citizens disabled building. I'm a disabled vet with post-traumatic stress. Is this on video? Because right now, I'm going to tell you a couple instances about the police. No, go ahead. I'm not blaming you guys, but a couple instances where two lady cops basically threatened me in the city of Richfield. They saw my post-traumatic stress hat, didn't even give me one blink. The reason? Because I was talking to this one guy about harassment, and some lady called in, thought we were talking about her. And then those two officers came up and harassed me. I'm not saying you two guys. It was two lady cops. All right? I'm afraid of any cop. It doesn't matter. I have mixed kids. All right? My oldest son was mistaken for another man. My son is lighter than Ashley. This guy that they tried to get was darker than a POW missing in action. Threw him up on the wall, handcuffed him. My son's name's Kelly, not Deshaun. This was in Bloomington. All right, now I'm going to get to Brian's case right now. As the family knows, I'm, been friends with families forever, for like 30, 40 years. Since I live at 7717 Chicago Avenue South, the night Brian got killed, I was outside smoking with two elderly ladies in walkers. We heard the gunshots. They took cover. Now, if they were angled and forgive me, my psychiatrist from my post-traumatic stress over at the VA, if I get angry, I apologize. Please accept it right now. That's what she told me to tell people. So that's what I'm telling you. What if one of those bullets went stray and shot one of those old ladies? Kayla lives in an apartment building next door, walks her dog at 10 o'clock. She would have been out there. What if one of the bullets would have hit her? Bullets don't have no eyes. They really don't. Like I said, Ben knows me. He knows I'm the president over at Richfield Towers. Everybody loves me. I'm respectable. But I saw the Burnsville on Facebook today, and those council members were so disrespectful. They wouldn't look you in the face. Now, I'm not a God-fearing man because I'm not a Christian. But if you guys are Christians, what would you think Jesus would do? I'm Jewish anyway, so what would your Jesus do? Honestly, what would he do? You think Jesus is going to say, okay, Mr. Cop, go shoot him? It's happening too much, and it's just not in Richfield. It's this family right here that I met at Brian's memorial. Beautiful people. I didn't know Brian. I knew his wife. I knew the grandfather. I knew his stepmother, or his mother-in-law, I'm sorry. But for me to be a veteran, being treated that way, and on top of that now, I'm afraid to drive in my car. I really am. I stopped in that new Holiday, that's, they changed it from SA on 12th Avenue, and when I first got my handicap sticker, this was a while back, about 8 years ago, and they had the handwritten ones where you put in your dashboard. Well, I drove up right in the handicap part, put it on there, and wouldn't you know, a cop came running out of that store with his hand on his gun. Well, you need to put it in your mirror. I said, officer, it states that when I get the real one, I can put in my mirror, but I can put this on the dash. Make sure you put it in your window when you get it. Some police officers are nice. They really are. But some of them, like the two ladies, I'm afraid of. I really am. The chief legislative officer for the state of Minnesota told my daughter, I'm a hero. I'm not a hero. There's the heroes. They have to live through this now. They really do. And if you guys don't have no empathy, that is on you. I don't see one person here shedding no tears. I see, like they said earlier, stone cold faces. Heck, I can go to Chicago and at least I'll see a smile on a cop's face. I don't see that up in here. Only one cop that I've saw ever had a smile on his face. Then some more cops were making fun because they had 6 cops come over to the apartment building last week and they were making fun of the guy who got arrested. Making fun of him just because he got hurt. And I'm not the only witness. There was 8 or 9 of us outside smoking when this happened. All right? So from this officer right here, I don't know him. If you ever see me, please don't take offense to this. Because I know there are some cops, like the guy who just got killed in Texas, the Amber Geiger, the witness got killed. I don't need a cop to shoot me. I have 3 grandkids. Just lost an ex-wife. And they just lost their brother, their husband, their father. I've been in Richfield since 1990. All right? I've seen what goes on. Okay, I'll
Can
hurry
you
up.
please wrap
All
it
right.
up?
So, one other thing, and I'll go. Is there any way the police officers or whoever could take some courses on mental illness? That's it. All they have to do is take courses. My son had to go 2 years, actually 2.5 years for barber school after a 4-year degree in accounting because he makes more money as a barber. How long do police officers have to really go to school?
Okay, now it's, It's time for Katie Cummings Balco. Kathy, you want to commence? It's Katie. It is time for Katie.
He's like the St. Anthony, what was his name? No, the chief. Anyway, my name is Katie Cummins Baco. I live in St. Paul, and I am coming from the Burnsville meeting too. And at that meeting, I was just mostly observing people's, the city council's faces there. And I will say that you guys actually seem to be paying attention more. Your eyes are on the people speaking and the people in the crowd. The looks on the faces down there kind of gave me the impression that they were keeping an invisible barrier between city council and the people suffering through the indescribable pain that I can't even come close to imagining, since I've never been through it. They just didn't even seem to want to interact. There were a lot of smug faces and complete inability, what it seemed to me. I don't mean to assume that you guys felt the same way, but it felt a lot like they didn't even care. And that to me is a good description of overt racism, because the system is built to be incredibly racist, and people in power are typically white and work very hard to keep that system in place. I would say that what I've seen today is a lot more covert racism, because I see a lot of nodding and closing of the eyes saying, like, I hear what you're saying, I see the pain you have, but I don't see anybody doing anything. I've heard a lot of excuses, a lot of, well, you have to follow this procedure and you have to follow that procedure, and I think I even said to you as city manager, they're not applying for a parking permit. They're asking for meetings for the information to understand how their loved ones died. So the lack of any kind of energy put behind this on your behalf is what I'm gonna just say is completely disgusting, and hiding behind procedures. And you can empathize all you want, but if you're not using your positions, what are you doing? It's just complete covert microaggression, although I don't know if that's even the right word, because it's complete macroaggression. You guys are you're smiling and nodding and trying to hug them on one side, but then you're doing absolutely nothing on the other. And it's almost more disgusting to me than pretending, like Burnsville, they didn't pretend to care. It's almost worse to pretend to care and then do nothing.
Sarah Blanche.
I'm kind of at a loss for what to say at this point. Ben, you ran on a social justice campaign. The Richfield Social Justice Committee supported you. And I have not heard a peep out of you tonight. You had the opportunity to say something, and you didn't. Mary, you are also a teacher in our schools. My son walks those halls every day. I asked you this question before. How can you possibly allow this to happen? And how can I, as a parent, trust that you're going to keep my son and all of the other kids in that school safe? Edwina, you are a person of color yourself. I don't understand how this doesn't impact you on a personal level. I'm also disgusted by your repeated attempts to shut down this meeting. I took that gavel away from you because I was sick of hearing it. There are other ways to stop a meeting without annoying the rest of us, because that was annoying as fuck. Simon, I've known you since we were, I don't know, you were probably 6 and I was probably 8, something like that. We served on the Richfield Human Rights Commission together. That was your foot in the door into city governance. To all four of you, this is the third time I am here making a demand that those videos be released. And Maria, I assume that you're listening from wherever you are. I don't give a fuck that this is not a city where the mayor has a lot of power. I don't give a fuck that the city council doesn't have much power. Who hires the chief? Who is the chief's boss? Huh? Ben, you can take the opportunity to speak for the first time tonight. Who is the chief's boss? You're the boss, right? All of you are the boss. Who is Katie Rodriguez's boss? The city manager. Speak it, Ben. Come on. I want to hear words. Okay. Thank you. Do you recall me making demands for the videos to be released? Ben, do you recall it? Words. Mary, do you recall it? Edwina, do you recall it?
Yes.
Simon, do you recall it? Do you recall me making demands for the videos to be released? If we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace.
if we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace.
if we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace.
I'll ask you again, Simon. Do you recall me making demands that the video be released? 3 times. It's a simple yes. Come on. All right, Simon.
You're setting an example for his child right now. You do not see Ryan. You do his child. You do his wife. You do his child. You are choosing to stay silent instead of using your. It's a simple yes or no.
Katie, do you recall me making the request 3 times over the last month in this meeting?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Chief, are you going to speak tonight? Do you remember me making the request? He doesn't want to fucking own it, because that's what he does. You said more words than my request of a yes or no answer. Do you remember me making a request for the videos?
So yes or no. You can respond to the community. You're supposed to serve. We pay you.
Okay, we're going
Go about community peace.
I'm not done with my public comment. I'm not done.
we are going to take another recess. Shara, please continue.
Okay, we're back, Cam. Simon, I'm going to ask you again. Do you remember me asking for the videos? All right, Jay, I will ask again. Do you remember me asking for the videos 3 times? No, he doesn't, because I asked him exactly what McCabe Staria, Dylan Schultz, and Joseph Carroll, what their assignment is. And the email response that I got was the dates that they returned to duty, not what their assignment is.
Can you tell us what Dylan Schultz was responsible for doing in Isaac's case? Because he was there too. What did you assign Dylan Schultz to do? To assist in the murder of Isaac Hayden. You're not going to speak about that.
Did you guys know that they actually are involved in multiple murders? Like, do you guys realize that's people back on the street?
Do we know what trauma does to people? What does trauma do to people? Do you want me to talk about it? Because you all know that my dad is a cop. I lived it growing up. Cops who see horrible things become hardened and callous. I'm guessing that explains why some of the officers that responded to the scene when Brian was murdered were laughing. We have photos of that, by the way. We have video of that. Surprised by that, Edwina?
Shara, please continue.
Of course she was. So I'm going to ask again, and I'm going to demand again, that these videos be released as committed by the city of Edina last week. Would you like to hear them committing to it? Because I can play the audio for you. All right, here we go.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Scott.
I'm Sarah.
Ashley. Hi. Reach that forward. Hi. Roger.
I'm Sarah.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Lisa. Ashley. This is 20 minutes. We can stand here for 20 minutes. Or you can just believe me.
And we know each other. I know. It's nice to see you. Good to see you.
By the way, they also admit that they fucked up in the Aiden case. That they admit that they fucked up on the Aiden data request.
Appreciate you coming in today. I want to start, I think we've all introduced ourselves. I want to start by saying something that we wish we could have said earlier, maybe should have said earlier, and that we're sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
There's a lot of reasons for how cities act the way they do in situations like this, and we'll get into those at some point, but we're sorry for this. I want you to know that.
Thank you.
I know that Jennifer has talked to you already about the status of the video. And we know that you also had some things that you wanted to say to us, so we're here to listen. Are you planning to record the meeting?
No.
Okay.
But guess what?
If you weren't, we were wondering.
I recorded it anyway, and that's my right.
Track of the things that we say to you.
Yep.
So we've got some
We
paper.
won't record either.
No.
Okay.
So we've got some paper documentation. Is that?
And I have data requests for you too.
Perfect. So it's the personnel files?
Yes. We can go through that. So it is the, so having gotten the request on Tuesday, and there's a large number of officers, it was the amount of data that we were able to compile for today and go through. So it's on 2 officers, and we'll continue to work on the remaining ones, and we'll give you an update by next Friday. But we can also, and it has the names, it has the initial information for 2 of the officers, and then we can continue to send each officer's information to you as we're done with it, or we can send them to you, once a week or however until we can get through all of the names.
Do you have her email address?
Yes.
Yes. So we can email it to you.
Oh, right, we could email it.
Okay, perfect.
So all we can provide is public
personnel
Yes.
data.
Yep.
Like you don't get their social security number.
No, I don't.
No,
want- I just, I want only what's public information.
So like, did you look at what I gave you the other night? This is the same stuff to fit next.
So, can I see that real quick? So I'm not an attorney and I'm not their attorney. I'm a friend. And as Lisa knows, I have for the city before, so. So this includes most training information, if it's the same information as the previous officers. What about like their application information, letters of reprimand, those types of things?
Right, so that's where
Consider this my
we have a
formal request for
summary
the
of
same
public
information
data.
on the Richfield
That's the
officers.
piece of it that's time consuming if you want the individual pages with the personal information redacted. So far, the previous requests that we had haven't wanted all of that and they were okay with the summary and the training. So that's the piece that we're going to need more time for and what's more time consuming. But we didn't, I mean, we know some of this summary information, the discipline information is easy to get. So even though it's going to take longer to redact it, that's why we provided the summary. So at least you have some information while we're waiting for that.
Is it possible to get application data that includes, sooner rather than later, their, where they went to school? Because I don't see that on the summary.
Oh, yeah.
Or a summary of that, when they graduated, that type of stuff is of particular interest.
If you could email to me or somehow get to me, what are those things that are the biggest priority for you?
Yep. The training data is also.
Yeah, we assumed that that would be big, but if there's a way, you know, if there's pieces of it that we know is more important to you, we can try to work on those first.
Okay.
Yeah, for the officers directly involved.
And Nicholas Peterson.
Okay, and that information probably will be quicker for us to get because although other people haven't requested that, we assume people will request it, so we have already been working on
They
that.
are, my attorneys are gonna request that as well.
Okay.
And, I did get it proposed.
Okay.
So I think that's all the
Nicholas
same.
Peterson's from the borough.
So the only other thing I wanted to say before we started was really, we appreciate you handing off the materials to the Aiden family for us. And I do want to let you know that she was right. We had her data request. We didn't process it right. And that was a human error mistake on our part. So we owe her an apology and we'll make sure that she gets that. But we have taken some time to put together a response to her request. Because the nature of our involvement in the situation was more peripheral than here, we don't have as much information for that.
Right.
Understood.
And this isn't a good explanation, but it's the honest explanation that the reason for the error was a single person made a mistake and referred it to the BCA, and it didn't come to us for review. And so regardless of if BCA has data, we have a responsibility to go line by line and say, either BCA has this data, it's not ours, or here's why we're not responding. So we're going to be taking actions to make sure that people know the process and this doesn't happen again.
She did it right. We did do it right.
Right.
So that's where it's like, I've been going to every single thing possible, even as far as like meeting with Keith Ellison and everybody, because that's where it's like, we need transparency from the involved departments. It's too much for us to have to, I don't feel like that is fair, that I feel like I have to fight for everything.
And let me say too, one additional commitment, and I think Jen has talked about this already, is that from here on out, at the same time or before we make information public, we're gonna make sure that we share that information with you, so that you don't have to read something in the paper that
Yeah. We'll continue to request information.
Right, because I feel like it's a no-brainer.
Would have been nice if Richfield had told the family that those officers were back on the street.
It would take a lot of the
I
guesswork
told
out
them.
or a lot of the frustration and time that it takes for all of us to feel like we have to fight for what's ours, you know?
we're gonna do better at that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And we do, like, with the requests that we had gotten, how we responded to all of them was, here's what's public right now, here's what's not, and as things became public, we don't make them request it again, we just sent it out, and so that's where, you know, Jen
That's
had that
appreciated.
conversation with you. We should have reached out to you and not waited for a request. We should have just been providing that info, knowing that you would want it.
Do you know and are you able to share which of the two officers, Benjamin Winande, or is that how his last name is pronounced? Okay. Or Nicholas Peterson initiated the traffic stop?
We can't.
Okay.
At this point.
Okay.
Is there any information that you can give us? Like, is there any clearing of anything? Because that's part of the problem for all of us is that it's zero. And granted, I can look and see what they've done and stuff, but it doesn't explain anything as to, it's no help.
Right.
Most of the case stuff, it is not gonna be public until the investigation is complete. But some of those questions you're asking, maybe your video will help answer those.
What is public is what's called request or incident data. That is public, investigative data.
Right, because the other thing is I was told that the radio chatter as well as an incident report could be provided as well, that it's public.
Incident data is public.
Yeah.
Well, is there a
defined
police
term.
report that exists that is currently considered public data?
Because
I don't know. We'll find out. Okay. So because of the way because the sheriff's office
Consider this my
immediately takes
request
over
for
the
police reports.
investigation at the scene, I don't know if we would have done any reports because usually they don't want officers to talk to each other or share information. They
Do the
wanna get it-
officers themselves complete reports for the city of Edina? And have these officers done so?
I don't know, but we'll find out.
Because like the Aiden family, that's my concern is that all of the things those all were provided to them immediately, even though the BCA took over.
Including radio chatter,
Yeah.
police
For the whole
reports.
24 hours prior.
Consider this my request for radio chatter.
Reports that these officers, I think it's important if they completed reports. I'm particularly interested in what Ben Winande and Nicholas Peterson. These are also important, but I'm assuming that they arrived on the scene after the fact.
So
Do you know did they get digital copies of it so you could listen to it, or is it transcripts?
Transcripts, everything is printed. They haven't received anything digitally that I've heard of, but they were provided that information within a week from both precincts or both departments.
And that was from
Bloomington and Egan, and it is
and it was
public.
the police report data and
The radio chatter,
transcripts.
yeah. Those are two things that are supposed to be public. And
Once
can
the
be
reports are
requested.
completed.
Yeah, and they are completed, which I did get confirmation. from
Okay,
the
so it's
investigators.
once the officers complete their reports.
And they are done.
Okay.
But then what's public is.
Can I see
list of
that?
items, list of items.
Can I see that?
Can I read back what I've heard you ask for so far? Okay.
I have one more request that we haven't made.
Okay. Well, you can keep asking, I just don't want to fall behind.
Okay.
Okay, so application data, and the priority is Ben and Nick's, but you do want it for all responding officers.
Correct.
Incident data, is a police report available that's public?
Just the incident data as defined by statute is public.
If we can answer, who initiated the traffic stop?
Correct.
Have the officers completed reports for the city? Are they public? And radio chatter?
Correct.
Okay. Did I miss anything so far?
Nope.
Okay.
The traffic stop is likely to be on the video, I think.
I haven't seen it, but
So has anybody seen it?
None of us have seen it.
Okay.
We have had small number of police department staff and the attorneys who have seen it. Well, you're an attorney.
I haven't seen it. We have lots of attorneys.
None of our
Yeah.
council members.
So Roger is our general city attorney. We have other attorneys that work on different areas, and so these would be the attorneys that are working on police with us. No council members. We do not have the same form of government as St. Paul. Our council members do not have any individual authority. The mayor doesn't have any more authority than any of the other council members. So they do not see investigation data.
Okay. And I know that there's different structures for that, so. And I believe Richfield is similar to what Edina is, not St. Paul.
We have a city manager.
Do you guys collect data on the race of people that your officers pull over when they issue citations?
I don't believe we do, but I will have to confirm that. It is one of the items on the task force recommendations. So they're actually working and have been researching and developing what would that look like. So I know for sure that that is in process in terms of how to collect more data. I don't know what, if any, they are already collecting.
Is that on use of force reports?
I don't know. I can find that out too.
So where we collect race data.
Yes. And any copies of any data that is collected on citations and or incident reports.
You mean like a list of what's collected on those things?
If you have it in summary data, such as in a spreadsheet, that would be helpful. If not, then the individual copies of citations with personal information from those who were issued those citations redacted, and or same thing with the incident reports.
I'm not sure I understand. Are there specific citations you're looking for, or you're looking for?
I want to know, ultimately what I'm looking to get to here is how are these officers, starting with Benjamin Wanande and Nicholas Peterson, and this is me as a concerned citizen, knowing that you guys had this race and equity task force recently, are they pulling over people of color at a higher rate than your city population?
Okay, so you're looking for those specific officers. Do we have any data on sort of number or of base?
Chief, consider this a data request for the same data for Richfield.
And I don't know if we collected, and I don't know if we collected what's public, but we'll find out.
Okay.
Are any of the complaints public?
Complaints against officers.
If a complaint results in discipline, then the fact that the officer is disciplined is public, and the data supporting that discipline is public. If someone files a complaint against an officer and they're exonerated or they're not disciplined, the only thing that's public is there's a complaint, can't tell you what the complaint was, and then it was unfounded.
Yep, that makes sense. Okay.
We don't make up the rules, they're right there.
Well, we just learned about a lot of those yesterday.
I can show you that right here.
It's almost as big as how arbitration works.
That's one of my great,
I've never seen a book of the actual.
I never bring that with. I usually just use this, but brought that today to pass around.
This is the personnel data,
Yeah, that's complaints.
so that makes sense. Existence. What was the other one? Was it this?
I don't know which one.
The one that you showed us for domestic abuse data. So
You were in
this is what you had showed us previously. That's what you had flagged. And that specifically is domestic abuse data?
No, well,
Or no, you're looking at 13.805.
I just, this has nothing, I mark this up all the time. I didn't mark this up for today. It has nothing to do with today. This is just law enforcement data. Begins here.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay. Thanks. Okay.
When we talked earlier today, I asked if you would think about what time on Wednesday would work best for you and your family to come in.
Yeah, we do Wednesday at 1.
Yeah. Do you have a preferred location?
And unfortunately, right there is where my recording cut off. But the preferred location, and Ashley can attest to this as well, was Richfield. And there was further discussion after that the two of you would work together. So why did that change at, 4 p.m. tonight, 5 p.m. tonight? Can you answer that question, Katie? Why did it change?
I already told Ashley that we would give you an answer tonight if we get out of the meeting, and I can review it, or tomorrow morning.
You review the video?
No, we have an email we're working on to respond tomorrow, or tonight if I can get out of the meeting.
Okay, did you hear what this family said about how complicated it is for them to get time off of work to come and see this? Did you hear that?
I'm not going to get into back and forth. This is your time to give your public comment, and we're all listening, and we've been listening.
Okay.
And then we need to get to our
I will
meeting.
personally pay you overtime out of my check. I will personally pay you however many hours it takes you to make the decision tonight that they get to view the video tomorrow. Okay, I'll be here at 8 a.m. and I'll sit in your office with you. I can walk here. Because this is bullshit. You've known about this for a week, because I don't believe for a second that none of you knew what we did at Edina last week. I'm sure y'all did. I'm sure they were texting you from the meeting. Right. You knew we were at Burnsville. Oh, they do that shit all the time. They do that shit all the time. We know what those videos show, by the way. So you can doctor them, and we'll know. And we'll be back. Which they've continued to do. We can trust that, can't we?
Dirty, sully, across the nation. Why can't you show the entire picture? Those body-worn cameras were supposed to be to foster trust in the police. All we've seen with the body-worn camera is they're simply data to back up the police. And they're edited. They're edited by the
This is Hennepin County, Keith, but yeah, same thing.
same thing. The police investigate the police and they find themselves.
Okay, I have a question for you, Katie. You say tomorrow morning you can make a decision. What time tomorrow morning? What does your schedule look like tomorrow morning?
This is open forum, and I'm not going to get into a dialogue with you. So I'm not going to make any more comment.
We'll be here at 8 o'clock. Actually, I'll be here at 8:30 after I drop my kid off at the school where Mary teaches and hope that she would at least protect him there since she won't do it here. No, we've got it on video. We don't need that. They don't do anything in writing anyway. Nope. T- 9 days. 9 days. So I'm, and I can attest to that because he spends half his nights at my house. That's on you. So I'm going to ask again. Sorry, Cameron. I'm going to ask again. Who is Katie's boss? Come on. One of you. You are her boss. Ben, you said it earlier that you're her boss. Direct her to do it.
Since July, we've been waiting on body cam footage. We've been coming out and doing the same exact thing since July. FJ will respond tomorrow. Oh, give us.
Director to do it. Direct her to do it. Which one of you is going to have the guts to do it?
Well, I think that city manager has said today or tonight, I'm pretty confident that the manager, it's not clear what conversations. I imagine she wants to consult with our legal counsel. I imagine she could probably get a hold of them tonight. I'm not sure, but
Midnight tonight, that's your deadline.
I will get you out an email tonight to communicate with you tonight, and that's what we'll do. But we have to abide by the data practices laws, and so we have to consult with our attorney.
You understood that. Because you have the authority to. You can release it at any time, and you knew that, which is why you agreed with Edana to let Ashley's family watch. You knew that when you agreed to it. We're asking you, why did you rescind that decision?
Okay, it's time for us to continue with our meeting, and so
Who's our meeting? Is this not a public meeting? Are we not the public? Are we not taxpayers? Do we not pay your salary? Who is ours?
so let's go. Let's follow with the Pledge of Allegiance.
And justice for all.
Ma-
Our families have not had justice.
oh,
If you're pledging allegiance to justice for all, you can stop right here, right now.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I would move that we adjourn this meeting. I understand we have to pick another date. I would move that we adjourn it till tomorrow at 4 p.m. Oh, I would amend. I would amend my motion and move that we adjourn this meeting till tomorrow at 5 p.m.
I haven't been heard. I've been waiting for at least 2-3 hours for my project to come up. My name is up there. It's on one of the cards. Would you please allow me to speak before we adjourn this meeting?
I'd table my motion, yes, please.
Thank you very much. Lord, have mercy on us. Lord, forgive us. Lord, heal us and be with us. Not that my will, but yours be done. I'm a minority in my own family. I'm the only one Caucasian. My son is an African. I adopted him. He was thrown into the bush, and he's been with me since he was 6 months old. 6 weeks old, sorry. He lived in Egan as an adult. He was a responsible man. He is a responsible man. He was a foreman in a factory, and he worked at night. And every single night, when he had to leave his job and go home to his family in Egan, the cops were there to follow him home right into his driveway. He never did anything bad. He wasn't a lawbreaker. Why does he have to be followed into his driveway? I don't know. Council's, I'm here on another matter, but Council's consent agenda lists the public hearing as a continuance hearing. I would like to know why such public hearing is being continued. Review of council and of planning commission minutes reveals no hearing was adjourned or at a closing. Is it customary for council to continue hearings once they have been closed? Is there a precedent for this? Also, upon the agenda is a resolution extending to Trident investors terms of an agreement to which Trident was never a party in the first place. Nowhere in the staff report 221 approved by council on December 11, 2018, does the name of Trident investors appear. Why is staff now advising council to extend the terms of an agreement where there never was an agreement? Why are public hearings placed on the consent agenda? By the time individuals have an opportunity to speak on the matter has already been approved. If you want our input, don't approve the matter before we even have a chance to speak. Regarding the 66th Street apartment proposal, the overall land area is, as set out in Council's December 11th resolution, is not the same area being considered today. To approve the 2018 boundaries without reference to the Panhandle acquisition resolution of June 11, 2019 is procedurally sloppy and inaccurate. Once again, and for the third time, I stand before city council or city staff insisting that you trash this project. Broadway investors have profoundly disturbed your elder residents. Broadway/Trident, a rose by any other name or a skunk by any other name smells the same. Going forward, the looming noise and the air pollution to which we will surely be subjected can only have disastrous effects upon those mentally challenged residing next door. Last but not least, the children of Sheridan Elementary will find concentration impossible with the excessive noises and beeping as destruction vehicles ply the pathways to their school. Parents transporting their children to and from school events and activities will soon compete with the additional 185 or more vehicles impeding traffic along 65th Street, as well as along Russell Avenue. If council members cannot or will not empathize with the elders, the mentally challenged, the school children and their parents, perhaps you might consider the air you breathe as you proceed to eliminate an abundant field of oak trees, which today provide you and me with the oxygen our lungs require. A very famous Jewish man once said, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you."
Thank you. Let's proceed now with the, let's try again for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and join us.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay,
I would like to make
have
one more
approval.
comment before the family leaves and before you guys adjourn this meeting or proceed or whatever it is you're going to do, what you do. Tonight, this governing body had an opportunity to lead this community with integrity and give this family the justice that it deserves, and you failed. I hope that when you go home tonight, that every single one of you thinks about your obligation to protect everybody in this community. I hope you think about the fact that this is not going to be the last time that something like this happens in Richfield, and you have a perfect opportunity to set a precedent for how you're going to handle these situations, and you failed. You all should be ashamed of yourself, every last one of you.
next on the agenda, we have approval of the minutes. Does anybody want to move the minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good, okay.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem,
Mhm.
I would move, given everything that's happened tonight, I think we have one critical issue. Would it be possible to, I would move we handle the critical issue that's before with Parks and Rec, and we would skip the other agenda items?
I think we can move swiftly through the agenda items, so let's try that. Okay.
I'd withdraw my motion.
Do we have Brian Krogan still here?
Mayor Pro Tem, Brian left the meeting, so we don't have any presentations.
Okay.
You can do hats off, or you can go straight to approval of the agenda.
Okay. The Planning Commission Chair requested to postpone their presentation, so we will do that at a later date. Hats off to Hometown Hits. Let's keep it really, really short.
I'll pass.
Okay. Councilmember Supple passes. Councilmember Troutman passes. Councilmember Whalen pass, and I do too. So we will go to the consent calendar. City Manager Katie Rodriguez, please.
Mayor Pro Tem, did you approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The consent calendar contains several separate items which are acted upon by the City Council in one motion. Once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual items and recommended actions have also been approved. No further council action on these items is necessary. Item A, continue a public hearing to consider approval of a final plat of the Novo addition to November 12, 2019. Item B, consider the adoption of a resolution designating polling places for 2020. Item C, consider the approval of joint powers agreement for the stormwater system between the cities of Edina and Richfield and Adams Hill Park. In conjunction with the agreement, also consider approval of the permanent and temporary easement for the area so construction can take place on Yorktown Park sanitary sewer trunk pipe extension. Item D, consider the approval of the Hennepin County Sports Facilities Grant resolution to submit a grant for the universally inclusive playground at Oxburg Park and authorize staff to execute the grant agreement if awarded. Item E, consider adoption of a resolution granting a 1-year extension of land approvals for a planned unit development at 2400 66th Street West, Novo Apartments. I submit the previous items for your consideration as part of the consent calendar.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we go to
Can I just make a brief comment?
yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Just wanted to make sure we don't skip over too quickly. There will be additional efforts to get the word out to the community, but wanted to let anyone who typically votes in a school know that in 2020 your polling place is going to change. And so we will have updates on that. That's just based on the construction happening in the schools.
Thank you, Council Member. Mary?
And can I also, just in reference to the woman's comments earlier, I'm sorry I didn't catch your name. Thank you. The public hearing is being continued to the next meeting, so there will be a public hearing. It's going to happen at the next meeting is when the public hearing is. This just postponed it. That's what that means. All right, thank you.
Okay, next we have Council Member Troutman.
Yes, thank you. Excuse me, the tracking takes me to a different part of the agenda here. So I'm going to have to manually navigate.
It's page 46.
Thank you. Thank you. This is the item for consideration is to consider the adoption of a resolution ordering a securing of a vacant building at 7100 Oliver Avenue South. January 2018, 7100 Oliver Avenue sustained fire damage. Staff have made multiple attempts to contact the homeowner over the past year, and although there's been some communication, there's been insufficient progress on the home to bring it up to code. Additionally, the staff recently had to administratively register the house as vacant. As is, the structure is unsafe in its current condition. So the motion, I would move that we approve the adoption of a resolution ordering the securing of a vacant building located at 7100 Oliver Avenue South.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say
Aye.
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 Okay, and now we move to the Richfield Ice Arena refrigeration project, and Amy Markle and Chris will
I'll present.
Wybe will join us. This item is Councilmember Mary Supple's item.
All right, we're going to be considering the approval of the Richfield Ice Arena refrigeration project that includes the renovation of the refrigeration system for both sheets of ice, the HVAC system, roof improvements, ADA upgrades, and turf for the dry floor athletics with the use of existing city funds. The Richfield Ice Arena was built with one sheet of ice in 1971, and an additional ice sheet was added in 1999. Both utilize R22 chemical as the refrigerant to keep the ice cool. R22 is being phased out of production at the end of 2019, so future costs are predicted to increase sharply as the quantity diminishes. The financial and environmental risks associated with an R22 leak are significant. It is responsible at this time to seek another refrigeration system to ensure the longevity of the Richfield Ice Arena. Also, We have the original mechanics to the facility that are 48 years old, many of which are no longer produced, so repairing the old system has become quite challenging and costly in recent years. For the renovation project, we would like to complete the following work. There will be a new refrigeration system that utilizes ammonia versus R22, ADA upgrades, roof improvements, HVAC system to protect the wood, and dry floor turf. The ice arena is a heavily utilized community facility with over 500,000 guest visits annually from Richfield and the greater region. Considerable effort was made to invite the community to the Richfield Ice Arena Refrigeration Project engagements. And we've received much positive feedback on wanting to have it available with the dry floor, including comments that pickleball would be greatly appreciated, and that was personally emailed to several of the council members. Overall, the engagement sessions were positive, and participants have asked great questions. We got a lot of positive feedback for the project and valuable opinions on the use of the dry floor space. Every year the project is put on hold, the cost increase is estimated at a minimum of $100,000. The project will cost approximately $3 million for the refrigeration component and an additional $280,000 in building improvements. The total for the whole project is an estimated $3.68 million, and we would like to fund the project in 2020 with golf course sale monies and additional funds that were budgeted and planned for this year. So for those of you that are listening, when the golf course was sold a few years back, the money was set aside so that it could be used for projects like this. I will ask staff to tell us about the updated timeline that's going to happen, and then I'll make the motion. Thank you.
Yeah, we've updated the timeline a little bit to try to shrink down the amount of time that we're without ice at all. One of the complaints is that they wanted ice in there as much as we can, and we'll be working with the contractors as much as possible to shrink that down. Obviously, we want the revenue to come in and don't want to lose that revenue as well, so we'll do everything possible to shrink the time frame that we don't have ice in our facility during the construction period.
All right, thank you. Then I would move that we approve the Richfield Ice Arena Refrigeration Project utilizing existing funds for renovation work to commence in 2020.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we go, city manager, do you have a report?
Nothing to report tonight.
Thank you. Okay, I will move claims and payroll.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.